Hello my dear friends, I hope you all are doing good. This is Prashant Mauni and I warmly welcome all of you to StudyIQ. Today we are going to chat about the Prevention of Torture Bill 2017. We are going to discuss and we are going to see why India at present needs this law very badly. There are things going on around this law or this thing for a very long period of time, but still we have not achieved, or you can say this bill has not seen the day of the light. Anyways, we will discuss about this thing, but before that I would like to introduce all of you to the pen drive and tablet courses, and more than that I would like to draw your attention to the up to 35% discount that is available on different pen drive and tablet courses that are offered by StudyIQ. Dear friends, the only thing is that this up to 35% off or discount is available only till 15th November 2017. So if you haven't got it yet, I would recommend all of you to get it as soon as possible. To use this or to get this up to 35% off, all you have to do is check out studyiq.com, and when you place your order, use this code that is given here. And if you have any question or queries, you can use chat support that is available on our website, as well as you have phone numbers here. You can always give a call to us just in case if you find any sort of difficulties. Now dear friends, all those aspirants who are having law as their background or academic, or if you have studied law in your academic career, then you might be familiar with this name, Adriana P. Barto, right? This person has contributed quite a lot when it comes to torture, and he has in fact provided definition of torture as well, and this has been accepted by United Nations. See, the definition goes like this, that the torture is a wound in the soul so painful that sometimes you can almost touch it, but it is also such intangible that there is no way to heal it. Torture is anguish squeezing in your chest, cold as ice and heavy as a stone, paralyzing as sleep and dark as the abyss. Torture is despair and fear and rage and hate. It is a desire to kill and destroy, including yourself. This is the definition that has been accepted by United Nations. Dear friends, if we go back to the, if we turn the pages of history, then we find that this practice of torture was being deployed by many different communities and civilization across history. And we find that if you go through the books or the work of Kautilya's Arthashastra, and if you go through Manusmriti, and if you see the British Raj era and the laws that were prevalent at that point of time, Shariat laws and Greek and Roman laws, if you go to all different communities and different period of time, you find there were different methods used in the past for doing this sort of torture on, particularly on criminals. But now we are living in a modern world, isn't it? Even I'm sure you have observed this thing, or you might have experienced this thing, that many times when people are having some sort of draconian thoughts, when their thoughts are not matching the modern you can say modern ways of living life, then we do tell or highlight that person that in which era you are living, isn't it? We do throw them we do throw this question to them. I'm sure you might have experienced this sort of things, and how can United Nations stay behind to sort out this thing and to ensure that every person in this world is protected from this sort of inhuman treatment, this crudity and barbarity. It has came out with a law some 20 years back, right? And this is known as United Nations Convention Against Torture. It is also known as CAT, as a CAT is a short form of Convention Against Torture, and of course it defines any sort of torture as a criminal offense. 161 countries have so far signed it, and it all started since in 1997, so it's been 20 years since the introduction of this law by United Nations, and India signed it 20 years back in 1997. But the thing is, when we see the list of ratification, then we are in the hall of shame, right? India is in the list of 9 countries who have not signed it, who have not not signed it. We have signed it in 1997, but we have not ratified it. And what ratification is all about, let me briefly tell you that say for example, you know, Paris Agreement, right? So you sign it saying that yes, we approve it, but then it has to be ratified by the cabinet, and eventually it has to be ratified by the House or the Parliament of our country. So until and unless this is done, you cannot say that you have completely accepted this CAT. And the shameful thing is that even Pakistan, with whom we are always having competition on all different spheres, they have also signed and ratified it back in 2010. Now, dear friends, very briefly, what this CAT is all about, or what it covers. It provides guidelines in terms of preventing torture and cruelty and inhuman or degrading treatment of jail inmates, because at the end of the day, if someone is say for example been awarded a punishment of 5 years, right, then they are already going through it. They are obeying the order of the court. So there is no point in sexually abusing them or torturing them or giving them more pain in jail, right? This all things, they may sound that they are right thing, this sort of criminals should be treated like this way and that way, but the thing is, dear friends, as I told you, right, it is the court who will decide how much punishment should be given, right? And we have rules and regulations and everything, and we cannot bend and break rules for any particular cases, right? If this sort of things are allowed to be practiced, then we will reach or the whole society will become a sort of barbaric society, and the values and the things that we cherish nowadays, all the rules and constitution and everything, we will destroy all this setup and this independence that we have and the protection or the fundamental rights that we are been given by our constitution. The other thing is that the good thing, and this is something that I'm quite excited about, or you can say I'm quite happy about this CAT, is basically it also provides or talks about this relief and compensation and rehabilitation, right? If there is any person who is or who has gone through this sort of torturement, then they should be awarded with relief and compensation, because many times what happens is that a person will be forced to go through this sort of torture and other inhuman treatment, but then they will find that this person was in fact innocent person. So of course you snatch away important years of someone's life, so of course money is never going to bring back that time, but there is some there should be some way of saying sorry to these victims. Having said that, dear friends, if we go through the data, and I told you that why we started this lecture, and we started with a question that why India needs it very badly. The thing is, if we go through the data, right, see the Home Ministry data, this data is coming from the government itself in 2015, right? This data was released, and it says that in 2014 126 unnatural deaths took place in the prisons. That means these people, 126 people, died because of torture and things that cannot be justified, or you can say they cannot be termed as a legal thing. The other thing is that in 2014 you see this number has gone up from 126 in next 2 years. We reached here at 195. Now if we go through the 2016's data, then we find we forget about this adult prisoners, or in this one as well you have say for example in 126 unnatural death, 7% were children between age of 0 to 14. Can you imagine that this sort of small children are being tortured and they have been killed by the people who are supposed to protect rules and regulation, who are supposed to provide security to the citizen. In 2013 nearly 35% of this deaths included these children. In 2014 it's 26%, and in 2015-16 it is 21%. So this is a very sad scenario, and if we talk about what government is doing so far on it, as you know now that it's been 20 years since we have got this CAT, right? But it's not that government has not done anything at all. If we go through the timeline of the government of India, then we find that it was in 2010 when the government came out with this Prevention of Torture Bill 2010. It was passed by Lok Sabha. And then till now it has of course not been passed. It went to Rajya Sabha, but the Rajya Sabha decided to have a sort of fresh look on it, and a select committee was you can say appointed to look into this matter, and it came out with many points, good points, and this were welcomed by many MPs, or you can say the whole house welcomed it. But in 2014 we had a change of guard. That means we had a change in central government. It was a UPA government, but now we have NDA, Narendra Modi's government, isn't it? So because of this change in guard, that's what happens. These are some technical things regarding any bill. So as it was not passed by the Rajya Sabha at that point of time, so this thing got lapsed. So of course there was a demand again in the parliament and in the country as well to come out with this law, and in 2016 the Union Home Ministry replied in the parliament. It said that we have drafted a bill, and it is all ready. We are going to come out with it very soon. But when it was asked about, or you can say that this Home Ministry never provided any sort of fixed time period, or it never provided with any sort of date on which it is going to bring out this or going to table this bill that it is claiming that it has drafted. So to end this things once and for all, former Union Law Minister Sweeney Kumar, the person that you can see on your screen, he is Mr. Sweeney Kumar, and he was a Union Law Minister. So you can say that this gentleman, he does have a sort of practical experience regarding law, and you will understand a little bit more about him if I tell you that he was the chairman of this select committee of Rajya Sabha. I'm talking about this 2010 torture bill. So he was chairman of this select committee, and he came out with some data. He presented this data in the court because he's the person, as I told you, for once and for all, he wants this bill to be to see the light of the day. He wants it, and every one of us do need it, right? By the end of this lecture, I'm sure you will also feel that of course we need this this law, right? This bill should be passed, this 2017's Prevention of Torture Bill. So he filed a PIL in the Supreme Court, and then the Supreme Court went through all these things, and he also presented some points. He said that 90% of the states have no objection at all, and even the National Human Rights Commission, NHRC, is also strongly supporting this law. It is also saying that we need this sort of law to protect the people who are going through this sort of custodial death and torture from the state. But the central government is a bit skeptical, or it is I don't know why it is not coming out with this sort of law. And one thing is that if you see the attitude of the central government, then I will provide you a small incident. This is a real life incident. What happened in April 24th, 2017, Solicitor General of our country, Ranjit Kumar. Now, if you don't know what Solicitor General is all about, then let me tell you that Government of India has lawyers, right? And the top lawyer of Government of India is Attorney General, AG. And to support AG, you have this office of Solicitor General, and you have additional Solicitor General. So they are basically deputies of this Attorney General. So what these lawyers do is their main duty is to represent Government of India in any cases that are going on, or in any courts, right? It could be High Court or Supreme Court or any other court. So they are responsible for presenting. So whatever is coming out from them is taken as official statement from Government of India. So Ranjit Kumar on April 24, he said, when the Supreme Court asked Ranjit Kumar what is the stand, or what are the things that Government of India is doing regarding this torture bill. So he said that we have referred the matter to the Law Commission. Now, a very reputed magazine, they were a bit unhappy with this reply. So they did had their doubts on this thing, so they did some sort of research, you can say, right? They went to this Law Commission of India. Now one more thing, Law Commission is a sort of, you can say, a think tank, or it is a sort of wise man or woman to whom you can go if you need any sort of, the government of India knocks the door of this Law Commission of India whenever it needs any sort of suggestion or things pertaining to law from whenever it is having any sort of doubt or anything, then it will knock the door of this Law Commission of India. So this Law Commission of India, this Sanjay Singh, a member secretary, said that we have not got anything, right? There is no sort of the things that is being said by Ranjit Kumar. We cannot find any sort of files or documents pertaining to this thing, so there is no reference pending with us on a specific law against torture. That means the government and its arms, right? They don't know what they are talking about. We can easily say that because the law ministry is saying something else. In the apex court, the lawyer is saying something else. So this is a very sad situation in our country, and one of the reason why I think this sort of attitude is been you can say been displayed by the government of India is because some articles within this CAT. If we go through article 5 in particular, right, then it talks about that once you ratify this CAT, then this Armed Forces Special Powers Act, right, this AFSPA, you have to get rid of it. So it is going to create a problem for government of India when it comes to Jammu and Kashmir and northeastern part of our country. But there is also a need of this law as well, and when I say we need it is pertaining to this article 3. So we are in a sort of catch-22 situation, right? The government at one point of time, we needed to get hold of all the criminals or absconders who are living abroad, but at the same time, if we apply it, then we have to follow all the rules, and this also includes getting rid of this AFSPA. Now let me explain you this importance of this article 3 of this CAT. See what happened in this 1995's this case. It is known as Purulia arms drop case. In this case, Kim Davy this person named Kim Davy, right? He is a prime accused, and he is a Danish, or he is from Denmark basically. So being a Danish citizen, and because Denmark has already ratified this CAT, the lawyers of this Kim Davy, they claimed, or they presented their client in this Danish court, saying that India has not signed so far, or India not signed, but India has not ratified this CAT so far. So if my client will be sent to India for this whole judicial process, then there are high chances that he will be tortured in India, and the treatment that will be given to him would be inhuman. So because of this reason, this Danish court, right, never allowed this Kim Davy to come to India. He was not extradited, and because of this thing, all the efforts of CBI became in vain. Apart from that, if we see why we need this law badly, then it has a direct relationship, this torture, right? It is anti of Article 21, which is a sort of fundamental right of life and dignity. Apart from that, if we see the words of Chief Justice of India and Justice D.Y. Chandrachud, then they have clearly stated, and whenever it is coming from Supreme Court, then we can understand that we cannot take it lightly, right? It is a thing that we have to follow, and it is something that we have to think about as well. We have to give some serious thought when it's coming from Supreme Court, because it has said that the need of the hour is this law, because it is a matter of national interest. Not having this law is creating this sort of problems, this Kim Davy sort of problem. Apart from that, it is also damaging our reputation, because what happens is that, dear friends, even if we have not ratified it, we have signed it, right? And we do get, right, this is a sort of practical thing, how things work. I'm just giving you a small example here so that your understanding can get some more clarity on this issue. What happens is United Nations will send questions, right? And not only United Nations, but other countries who have signed this and ratified this CAT, they do send us questions, right? And we have to reply to all those questions. We cannot say we are not interested, not at all. We have to reply. It is a responsibility, international obligation on us. So we have to reply it, and it again puts us in a very bad light. It damages the reputation of our country. And the other valid point why we need it is because if you go through IPC and CRPC, then we don't have any clause in this IPC and CRPC that is specifically dealing with this custodial torture. We have some very horrific and horrid examples, right? You might have heard about Sweeney Kumar. She was being provided, or she was being tortured she was given electric shocks, and she was stripped as well. And it's very sad to say that this uniform guys, they used to they tried to shove stones inside her. So this is one of the most preposterous thing I have ever heard. See the gentleman here, he was jailed for 14 years, and when he was jailed, his nails and things like that were literally, you can say, taken off from his hand, and eventually it was found that he was innocent. And if you go through this National Human Rights Council's report, then you find that nearly in every 2 days, or you can say every 48 hours, right, one person dies in Indian jail. So this is a very serious thing that is going on in our country. And when talking about this National Human Rights Commission, NHRC, the thing is the data that we get from NHRC is only it registers things only when there is a death. So this sort of things, right, this man's case, or this Sweeney Kumar's case and other cases, right, they are not taken on board, or they are not registered, or you don't find them in the facts and data of NHRC. Of course, NHRC is aware about this sort of treatments which are not just pertaining to death. Other sort of inhuman treatments it is aware about it, but it is the government who has to change the rules of this game. And for the solutions, I must say, dear friends, that we have to look no further. We have Law Commission of India, and it has presented its 273rd report. It has provided some recommendations, and I will introduce all those recommendations to you. The first one is, of course, it has said that the central government should ratify this CAT. The second thing it is talking about is sovereign immunity. That means it is saying that this fundamental rights and duties, and fundamental rights in particular, right, this cannot be enjoyed by the state, or the state is not entitled to fundamental rights. It is the citizens who are entitled to fundamental rights. So being say, for example, if you are a policeman or policewoman, right, if you do some sort of torture or someone, then you cannot say that I have done it because of fundamental rights and things like that. And you might have heard about this thing that when you will join government office, then from that point of time, when you are of course when you are on duty, right, at that point of time you are government, of course, so you cannot claim there are many rights, right, because you become part of this government. Your fundamental rights, you can say that in layman's language, they are not applicable. It is the citizens. So this is sovereign immunity that has been talked about by this Law Commission of India. Then you have other recommendations, like it talks about amending this IPC, Indian Penal Code. As I told you, like, there is no specific thing that is dealing with in IPC that is dealing with this torture, and Law Commission has said that this 375B should be amended, and the payment of compensation, right, should be included in it. If any person is being forced to suffer through this torture, then they should be compensated, and the person who has done this thing should pay fine as well. Then it has also talked about amending this Indian Evidence Act 1872, and it is talking about inserting this 114B, Law Commission has earlier on as well talked about this 114B, and in this report it has said that do insert this thing. And what this is all about, say for example, if any person is in jail or custody, and for whatever reason, if that person is having any sort of injuries, right, once he is in jail, and after that if he is having any sort of injury, then the burden to prove that he or she is not tortured will be on the police, will be on the government, and not on that person. So this is going to add a sort of it is going to work as a sort of shield for the people who are generally speaking they are not enjoying this sort of protection from police, particularly when they are in custody. Apart from that, it also talks about this life imprisonment as well. The punishment can go up to life imprisonment, and of course a fine is also there. Regarding compensation, it has said that it has passed the ball in the court, and of course that's how it should be, because the court will go through your background and it will see what is your social status, your work and things like that, etc. Based on that thing, court will decide how much compensation you should be paid. And the last thing it is talking about is this, that protection of victims and complainants and witnesses. They should be protected from all the threats and abuses that just in case if they have to go through, if they are filing something against the state. Having said that, dear friends, lastly I would like to say that, see, earlier on as well, the Bombay High Court has passed order of installing CCTV cameras, but we know that if police wants to beat someone up, then they will, it's not necessary that they will take that person in the police station. They have some other places as well, isn't it? We know this sort of things do take place in our country. Then the Supreme Court has printed or displayed this DK Basu case guidelines, and the things why we are still not able to conquer this menace is because the biggest challenge in our country, or through which we are going through, is this enforcement. Enforcement is this is the thing in which we are lacking a lot. And in the words of Justice A.N. Mullah of Allahabad High Court, he said that there is not a single lawless group in the whole of the country whose record of crime comes anywhere near the record of that single organized unit which is known as the Indian Police Force. Dear friends, we know it very well that the government or the political parties, they have huge influence on the work of police, and this situation of making police a sort of puppet of the government or political parties, if we don't think about this thing, and if we don't get rid of this thing, then we are, whatever laws we can come out with, good laws, but we won't see results of these things. Having said that, dear friends, I think that's everything regarding this torture bill. Again, I would like to remind all of you regarding up to 35% discount that is available, and remember, it is going to last only till 15th November. So if you haven't got it yet, do get it now. Having said that, dear friends, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Do share this lecture with your friends and other people. Do give us a like if you have learned something out of it, and if you have your own views and if you want to share something with us, then feel free to write it in the comment section. I would love to hear your views. I would love to know about your views pertaining to this Prevention of Torture Bill 2017. With this, dear friends, I'm signing off for now. I will see you all soon. Enjoy your studies. Jai Hind.